Hello, my name is Alma, and I'm happy to be here being zazen practice, seated meditation. Anybody here for the first time? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Not to put you on the spot, but any questions, anything that you would like to inquire about at this moment? Everybody else can also ask questions and inquire about anything at this moment.
So this is my first Zen guided meditation here. So I've done a couple of the other ones. This is my first experience doing this.
How's it going so far?
It's good. I was gathering my center and a couple thoughts came and went and just remained in my center.
Thank you for sharing. Yes.
Is there something specific? I also haven't done Zen before, but is there something specific in the technique to Zen that you would
Anybody wants to answer that question? Check it out. When I was doing my meditation, I spaced out on this sentence, okay? The Sixth Ancestor Hui-Neng described seated meditation as follows. Externally, to be free of all hindrances and undisturbed in mind regarding any circumstances, whether good or bad. And that's all I can do, so I repeated that in a little, like a mantra for a little bit. Nothing wrong, just in the space of meaning. Zazen, seated meditation, Zen, meditation. However, when we talk about traditional Zen practices, what we are tapping into is there's nothing wrong. Everything is in alignment. We explore into the sense of how our judgment, assessments, and opinions will kick in when you're like meditating, and we live in a world of constant assessment, evaluating life as if it's good or bad. Our duality kicks in. If it's not right, it's wrong. So we go into the world of attachment in the sense of I attach to my circumstances as if they are permanent, when in fact the constant change and the constant in life has changed. And since the Buddha talked about impermanence, we are exploring that. We experience a thought, it arises in this moment, it disappears in this moment. I don't reject it, I don't swallow it. Good luck. I don't feed into it, I don't avert it. I flow. As if I will love to take on flowing with life and any circumstances that might arise moment by moment. Now, a special technique, what do you think? What do you hear in what I said? What do you think it will be a special technique? If you're trying to practice flowing with your thoughts. What do you think?
It sounds similar to other meditations. So, staying still and just watching.
Okay, thank you. That's called the observer. It's the first chapter on Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, one of the books we use for this specific practice. And exactly, I don't get attached to my thoughts, therefore I almost question them, observe them, and therefore I don't get attached to the identity that I create when I start overthinking or feeding into my thoughts and creating stories in my head. Sounds familiar? I mean, that's confirmation for me. In the sense of stillness. Practicing stillness is the key. You can focus on your center, meaning breathing in and out. It's the same context of grounding, like you were mentioning. Focusing on my posture and the stillness. We start discovering. And what usually shows up is repetitive thinking. When I usually share about silent retreats, it took me within a 5-day retreat, a day and a half, to stop thinking, right? Overthinking. And what showed up was tears, because I was relieved. I was able to be present in the moment and present to my thoughts without feeding them. That's what I meant by stop thinking, right? Overthinking, if you want to call it. And then I discovered the 3 routes were work, home, relationship. Home, relationship. So therefore, even our brain gets repetitive. Sounds familiar? What we're creating here. For some of us, it's just when we are in stillness, where I focus on my breathing, where I focus on my posture, there's a sense of relief, of judgment, assessment, repetitiveness, almost like a sense of space. In comparison with other currents, we're not guiding, we're not creating compassion, we're not cultivating kindness. Yeah, you can do that if you choose to. It's just we are present to our thoughts, and that's the main difference with silent meditation, Zen meditation. Anything to add? Yes.
When you were talking about being the observer in the observer role,
Yeah.
That was something that I experienced here with, I think, the last time, or 2 times ago when you had hosted, was the first time I approached it like all of the other meditations. But this time, when we did the second round, like we're about to do, I focused on observing the emotions and actually feeling the sensations so that they didn't continue to come up, because I learned that when you try and sometimes just ignore it, keep popping. But when you allow it and the emotion and everything to hit you really quickly, it dissipates and it really releases its hold. And then something else pops in. You feel another sensation, you have another thought, another emotion. But allowing myself to observe it and almost experience it while not being in the middle of it. Seeing that, oh, that's causing me frustration. Oh, that's causing me sadness. That's causing me anger. So not just seeing the thought, but feeling what it's trying to present inside me and allowing that to be recognized in addition to just the thought itself. And that really helps release the permanence of it staying throughout your meditation. Now, like I said, something else comes up in mind. Feel and experience that, and you just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And eventually, everything just kind of smooths out towards the end of it. For me.
Almost like it settles. Or maybe we go into stillness in a different level. But thank you for saying that. Guess what? It's almost like reverse engineering, no? Actions, emotions, thoughts, emotions, actions. So if we really explore into sensations, emotions, we're tapping into also the world of thoughts, because that's the source. So when you were describing how you perceived it, it made me realize how much, I don't even want to say resistance shows up in my life, in the sense of, I'm having difficulty telling you this, but no, I don't even want to talk about it. That's what I start thinking. And then when you're like, oh yeah, my emotion, it's almost like, you don't want to witness this. I don't even want to say it. I am still resistant, guys. Because sometimes that's what kicks in. Even though attachment, when I say it, you're like, oh yeah, my favorite cake. Oh, so attached. Or my favorite soap opera, or whatever. You go into the world of, material attachments. Yeah, there's also the aversion. That's also an attachment because not comfortable, not good, not pleasant. So we're in the world of judgment. So you're like, I'm not comfortable with my sadness. Get out. I wish. When we resist, persist in the same world of not having space. And then, like you said, when I give up my resistance, then there's space. And something else kicks in. So yeah, welcome to the flow. That's the flow. When we give up our resistance, when we give up our judgment, or whatever you're dealing with. Thank you for saying that. I'll take on resistance for my next session. Anybody else would like to share something in that world? Mm-hmm. Or different?
I mean, probably a lot of people have had similar experiences, but for me, it really is when I'm sitting, it's like, the thinking is like a movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm either in the movie, and it's all really affecting me, and I believe that I am the movie, or I'm watching the movie. Mm-hmm. And then it's like not affecting me, and it's like just the awareness, right? And so it's like, doesn't run me, right? I'm actually, that's when I'm awake. And it's like I'm just going back and forth. And when I'm in the movie and I'm totally lost, right? Lost in that thinking. But it's just interesting, that back and forth, if like a sound happens, then I'll be, there's the movie, I'm watching the movie again. And then the next thing I know, I'm lost in it again, right? It's just a strange thing that the mind seems to do.
Yes, and you mentioned another key element of Zen practice, which is awareness. That is the difference. One of my favorite things about Zen practice is that you can do it anywhere, anytime. That's why sometimes I get technical and it seems you notice, but I split the times that we do meditation in different sections depending on, I don't know, when I'm sensing that today we did 10 minutes, if you were wondering. Good job if your first time was 10 minutes. And you were able to practice stillness, that's it. That's what there is to do. Now, if you create awareness of your posture, your breathing, and the flow of your thoughts, and obviously you went from main actor to observer, that is where awareness kicks in. When you're no longer identifying with your thoughts, when you're no longer buying your own stories, or even pitching in with ideas to create a little bit more of that excess of energy or excess of thoughts. Just consider how for some of us, the ones that we might call ourselves reactive, right? Like, ooh, this emotion kicked in really quick and I can even act on it. Like some emotions like anger have a lot of adrenaline in the body. So like, ooh, I just gotta take a walk for a moment. Yeah, breathe it out. Some practice can be applied cycling, walking, washing dishes, you name it. It's all in the world of awareness, focusing on your breathing, focusing on your posture, and following the flow of your thoughts. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 3 hours, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. You choose. Does it make a difference if I sit for 5 minutes? Do I get enlightened if I sit 3 hours straight? You can have a great realization and result if whatever you're seeking. Let's say sense of relief within 3 minutes, you might be sitting 3 hours and still attached to your thoughts. So it does agree. Thank you for mentioning awareness. Anybody else? I'm checking in. I think we're gonna do another round. Okay. Tonight I'm sharing from the book Buddha's Brain. And just when I started and pressed start live stream, my glasses broke and I'm embarrassed.
Do you want to borrow mine?
And I'm attached to it. I'm making it work. It's my Zen practice. It's my Zen practice for non-attachment. But if I look funny to you, please laugh. Thank you. All right, just go for it. Cool. Well, I chose the evolution of suffering, and let's see if I can make it work. It almost feels like I want to read with all my glasses. Or Vicky, can you read for me?
Can I read for you?
Yeah.
Do you want me to?
Yes, please.
Never say no.
Thank you. That's why I put you on the spot. So, to put Vicky Kelly's on the spot, 10 years ago in July.
I don't want to hear that.
Don't worry, I'll pass it to you. We did the Dharma Bomb program 10 years ago. In July, by the way. Happy anniversary.
Yes, happy anniversary. Okay, so what do you want?
Yeah. So it's going to be this and this. That's it. We'll work with that.
I'm just going to sit right over here. The evolution of suffering. Nothing in biology makes sense except in light of evolution. There's a lot about life that's wonderful, but it has its hard parts too. Look at the faces around you. They probably hold a fair amount of strain, disappointment, and worry. And you know your own frustrations and sorrows as well. The pangs of living range from subtle loneliness and dismay to moderate stress, hurt, and anger, and then to intense trauma and anguish. This whole range is what we mean by the word suffering. A lot of suffering is mild but chronic, such as a background sense of anxiety, irritability, or lack of fulfillment. It's natural to want less of this, and in its place, more contentment, love, and peace. To make any problem better, you need to understand its causes. That's why all the great physicians, psychologists, and spiritual teachers have been master diagnosticians. For example, in his Four Noble Truths, the Buddha identified an ailment, suffering, diagnosed its cause, craving, a compelling sense of need for something, specified its cure, freedom from craving, and prescribed a treatment, the Eightfold Path. This chapter examines suffering in the light of evolution in order to diagnose its sources in your brain. When you understand why you feel nervous, annoyed, hassled, driven, blue, or inadequate, those feelings have less power over you. This by itself can bring some relief. Your understanding will also help you make better use of the prescriptions in the rest of this book.
Thank you. It's good to count on. So, in the world of the conversation we were having earlier about attachment, another word that we just heard is craving. One of my favorite aspects of Buddhism is tapping into breaking the cycle of samsara, suffering, and having the understanding that my human condition of constantly craving, identifying, judging, assessing, causes suffering. I cause my own suffering sometimes by feeding into my thoughts, and the Buddha said pain exists, it's just suffering that is optional because we're tapping into identifying with our thoughts. Identifying with our conditions, identifying with the people around us, you name it, whatever is your case. The thing that you're holding on the most. My pride. My vanity. Questions, comments, concerns, confessions. Yes.
Yeah, this is my first time here, and I'm really grateful to be with all of you. Thank you for this wonderful space. We just moved here from Nashville. This is my fiance, Alma. And what came up for me in the second meditation is my chronic attachment to other people's actions and how I want them to act, especially my family. And currently in this situation where I'm a business owner with my family members, and we just have very different styles. I'm just not very profit-driven. I am people-driven. And part of me just wants to exit that dynamic, but I can't really exit because I'm not the majority shareholder. And I'm just beating myself up for getting into this arrangement to begin with. And I just noticed how much energy how much energy is consuming me that I can't do anything about. And what came up in my second meditation is that if I can't do anything about it, then there is nothing for me to be consumed by. And while that sounds really wonderful, it's my practice, that's what I'm struggling with. And I don't want it to be a struggle, yet it is a struggle. And so I sit amidst this resignation in a way, and yet also empowerment that I can control myself, I can state my preferences and my desires and my calling, and then however they choose to respond to that is their choice, and how things unfold is not within my control. So really to remain anchored over what I have agency over and let go of everything else.
Sounds very easy. And enlightened. Yes. It's almost like, one of my favorite places, I was telling you, Deer Park Monastery in Escondido. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's in the work of Thich Nhat Hanh, one of my favorite Zen teachers. And they have free mindfulness days. Anyway, one of the nuns was like, do you think I have it easy? Yes. You're surrounded by people that speak your language, dressed like you, are in alignment with what you believe. Yeah, but I also visit family members. Oh, say no more. That's where the practice is. Yes. Even for brothers and sisters? Yes. Oh, okay. Here we go. When I was listening to you, obviously for a lot of people, if I tell you, don't get attached, you have no identity. You're like, what about my values? What about all the knowledge I acquired, my 3 titles? What do you mean, don't get attached? Yes. It's in the world of also discovering that you get to be whatever you declare in this moment. In the sense of resignation, I wouldn't want you to resign to your core values, your mission, your purpose, whatever gives you that sense of contribution to the world, which I hear is big. And what I'm hearing you're speaking is I don't even want to say it, the way you have it, there's also an image, there's almost like the way they should be or the way they should look like.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the resignation practice exists. Because this is one of my biggest rackets right now, I'm right there with you, so I'm trying to practice non-attachment to my opinions. I wish everybody would be like that, emotional responsibility all around. Let's just say that I'm gonna think that you are this, that you should be like this, that I'm already putting you in a golden box and limiting your ability to be yourself. I'm attached to the way you should act around me, and that's where the causing of suffering kicks in. I suffer a lot when people don't see me for who I am. Anybody else? You don't get me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know me. But in a sense, it's our lack of ability to witness ourselves and witness each other. So going back to the conversation of practicing being the witness to our thoughts and not attaching ourselves to our thoughts and our identities, it's almost like the more we practice this with our conditions and our family members, the more we create space for them to show up the way I might need them in this moment. Right now, especially in the world of duality, when we humans perceive that you are on the other side of the spectrum, I'm on the other side of the spectrum, meaning you're wrong, I'm right. You're darkness, I'm light, whatever you call it. We create a separation. Zen meditation talks about oneness, my sadness, my happiness, what I reject, what I accept. What you give me, what you take away from me in this moment. And in that space, what usually shows up for me and in the world, what Nani was sharing earlier, you stop resisting it, there might be space for balance to be created, where you can be a contribution to me and I can be a contribution to you, even if we don't speak the same language, even if we don't see eye to eye, even if we don't practice the same things, we can still be a contribution. And when I say this, what comes to mind?
For me, what I'm hearing you say is if I let go of this energy of expectation and attachment, that perhaps the other person might feel the spaciousness to show up in the way that they are called to show up, instead of being encumbered by my energy of that, of what they should be.
Can you tell when somebody's judging you?
Yes.
You answer the question, I love it. I want to go like the Matrix right now. Like, oh, your judgment. Yes, exactly. So just consider that in the world of energy. And also in the work of Thich Nhat Hanh, there's nothing more precious that we can give our loved ones than presence, even when it's in moments of, I love you for who you are and who you're not. What? You need help. I was told that. So, yeah, you can love someone for who they are and who they are not. Anybody else wants to contribute to him or contribute to the conversation we're having?
I wanted to say that in the past, I had developed a attachment to a title, and I relied on that title as like a defining factor of who I was. And I later, even as I had the concept that, you know, this title is a human, it's made up by humans, and we all decided that that's what we'll call this, and, you know, you're going to act like this because we're calling you that, and that carried with me, for better, for worse, for a while, and now I've noticed that I have let go of that attachment, and it helps me see me for who I am. I'm not a title. I'm a human. Doesn't matter. It matters what you call me, but at the end of the day, that my title is human, right? Like, and so even when I gain a new credential now, I kind of want to feed off of that and live up to that new credential, that new title that I have. And it's like I see that kind of now as a reoccurring pattern, but not to accept that I have gained knowledge of something and want to profess it or just live it, you know, I think is fine, and communicating that, hey, you know, I have XYZ credential, but it doesn't define me, and like I just need part of what I want is for, you know, people to accept that I have a skill set or something, or a knowledge of something, and that, but it's not what they think it is. It's like what I call it. Yes. So yeah, and it's okay when I say, hey, I'm XYZ, I have this credential, and they don't understand. They either or put me in a box that they think it fits in, or they don't see the box that I put myself in for that role that I'm doing, purposely. It's okay. They don't. We're not going to see eye to eye. Because I have to give myself title in order to become part of a certain society, right? And but it's just like, yeah, like I accept that. I'm okay with it. If you don't, I have to be okay with that. And if you think that I'm not who I am, I'm okay with that. Yeah. So there is like a level of, I feel like it's like letting go of, the title and the attachment, but still holding on to the wisdom that I received while in that role. And wanting to let people know that, yes. Hey, I can do X, Y, Z. I have the experience. So that's a struggle for me, but I'm getting better at it. I feel more comfortable with who I am, like I said, and I think that's big.
You reminded me of two things. Sometimes in the world of working for big corporations, knowledge and power is a thing. And in that world, if I will sense ego was present, I will joke saying my title is such and such because Queen of the World was already taken. Or, it's like, whatever, like you want to declare it. But like you said, starting my new job within hospice recently, I used this example. I was shadowing a different role And what came out of their mouth was, "Oh wow, you know a lot to be a coordinator." And I said, "Yes, that's why they gave me the director title. They actually created a brand new title called Director of da-da-da-da-da." Yeah. In the world of knowing who you are and all that you bring in is not the title, it's who you're being. I'm sorry, but there's people with really high titles that act in a way that doesn't show kindness or doesn't represent the level of wisdom or contribution that you have. It's almost like, hey, I'm your associate, but I'm a bigger leader than you being the whatever. So in that sense, it's all in who you're being. And who you're being for me is someone that is stepping into his power in the world of the conversation we were having earlier by knowing that if you want to talk about resilience, understanding that whatever it is and whatever it's not, I can create space. Whatever my title is or whatever my title is not, I can create wisdom. Whatever the circumstances are around me, I can create what is needed in this moment. And that is what we're practicing today. We're going to leave it there, or else we're going to be here until you declare it. But I just want to check in. Vicky, do you want to go ahead and